Hello guys, so we are now on our last topic for this week, third week. Before that, we will have first short recap from the previous discussion. Which will hear the shared screen with you. So in the chapter 4, so the human flourishing in the science and technology. So that for the learning outcome, discuss what technology reveals and examine the modern technology. Thus was mentioned by Martin Heidegger. So this article, the questions of the technology and its role in the human flourishing. So how this modern technology flourish to us. So he points out that technological objects are a means for an end. So, diba, there are statements that he mentioned. So that was technology is a means to an end, and technology is a human activity. Those are the two statements according to Martin Heidegger's article, the questions of the technology or the technology as a mode of revealing. And also, he mentioned that mythology itself is a contrivance from its Latin word, the instrumentum, or it is used as an instrument. And he also put forward on the ancient Greek concepts, so the aletheia, poiesis, and the technes. So when we see aletheia, that means unhiddenness or disclosure. Next, the poiesis is defines as there is a bringing forth or however, according to Aristotle, it means making or producing something for a purpose. It's sometimes used to refer a poetry or a composition. And then techne is the root word for a technology that means the skill, the art, or a craft. Or it means bringing forth something. Those are the terms, the ancient preconcepts of technology, according to Martin Heidegger. One of the best example of this modern technology was the mining, because it uses this vehicle, this land, these machines or technologies to flourish the human activity that is common among the miners. So sa mga kumimina. And also we have here to just run through about the previous topic. So the enframing, Heidegger distinguish between the two thinkings, so the calculative and the meditative. So the calculative is the calculate in we perceive nature in a technical and the scientific. So here the application of the science, scientific and the technological or the technical manner that become more important in the modern world. However, the meditative thinking provides a way for us to remain rooted in the essence of who we are. So what is meditative? So our thinking or the thought in our brain. So in meditating, so para ma-stress out or wala mga stress or mga issues or problems we are facing today. So mag-meditate ka. So just take a breath and then close your eyes, then meditate or think good vibes or mga positive thoughts to remove those anxiety or depression or mga is used for our mental health. It was also Friedrich Hölderlin that expressed the point, but where danger is and grows in saving power also. And that's the art as a way of often framing in the modern technology. So Aristotle's conception of the four causes was mechanical. So nagarihop siya, di ba? Or there's a movement or motion. So the four causa are the materialis, the formales, the finales, and the efficients. So materialis is the material, and formales is the form, then finalis is the final output or the end, and then the efficiency, what is the effect or the efficiency of this result. So those are the four causes according to Aristotle. So right now, we will proceed to our next topic for this week. So week 3, ULO, or the unit learning outcomes at the end of this chapter. So we are done on the technology, modern technology reveals and examine its role in the human function. So we are now on the second big picture from your SIM or your module, self-instructional module. So explain Haeckel's paradigm of the development. So how do we know that we are progressing? Or would you ask, what are the indicators of a development if we are developing? More often than not, development is equated with growth and greater consumption. So, nag-develop ang isa ka person or isa ka community if nasa lay growth sa ilahang income or they have a greater consumption, di ba? So if mas daghan ng pamilya ang isa ka tao is kailangan niya greater consumption of food, water, any kind of product. So dapat mas napod siya ipag-grow sa iyahang income or sweldo kay, di ba? Lisod man siya ang mubuhi o ng pamilya or tao. So that's why mag-strive harder siya more para sa iyahang family. So the more that a population is able to consume, so the wealthier it is. So chapter 5, entitled The Human Flourishing as Reflected in the Progress and the Development. So those are the following questions. So likewise, the more that a person is able to buy stuff, so the higher he or she on the development scale. So nag-develop or nag-progress ang isa ka person if able na siya makapalit kung gusto niya, di ba, iyang wants. Like for example, I want to have a house and lot. So in my 30 years of age, so ay gusto ko nga maging independent na, so di na ako magsilig sa ang family. So I want to have my own house. So para maging independent, so bakod ako sa akong pamilya. Okay, yung mature naman ko, so dapat na nakuha ako ang sariling balay or condo or sa paban na mga pwede puyanan, di ba? Or boarding house ka or may own sa sariling shelter, or you want to travel in any places, so you want to drive a car, so gusto na kang car at the age of 30 also. So those are the following progressing sa mga person. So we have here Jason Haeckel. So he is an anthropologist at the London School of Economics that he challenges us to rethink and reflect on a different paradigm of aid development. So he wrote this article, for the developing poor countries. It's time to develop the rich countries, diba? So those on the higher income or the higher level society or countries, so they should develop or should change their developing. Or for example, if rich countries, so magpadato pa ba sila o ganang maayo, so dapat pili na. So dapat tabangan nila tong mga poor countries para ma-high up po sila. So dili lang sila, or dili siya selfish, sila ang part na sila lang ang dato, di ba? So dapat tabangan po nila other na countries na mag-develop po sila. So that was the article of Jason Haeckel. That was way back in the year 2016. So as you can see here in the picture, di ba, there are some people or persons na they cannot afford this cheaper or no, this expensive mga bags or clothes, di ba? So nasa daraan sana all na makapalitan nila mga butang, mga gold, mga chandelier. So sila, kanila mga rich people ang pwede maka-afford. Ani palit nila kaya nila palitan nila bag na 5,000. Nga, kani sila ilang sweldo every 15 days is 5,000 lang, di ba? So sayang ka ilahang ginaguan na salary if isa lang ka bag ilahang paliton sila 15 days or pinsan na nga income sa ana. So that was the video from the United Nations about their main objective about the SDG or the Sustainable Development Goals, that one of their main objective is to eradicate poverty by the year 2030. So that was the video about the 17 sustainable development goals. So there are 17 goals that was mentioned from the video. that was made by United Nations or the UN. Di ba? From the video, so it would say that every country should help the developing countries like our country, the Philippines. So we are developing countries pa, di ba? So we are not just like other countries or just in Asia na progressive na, di ba? As you can see from the current situation in this pandemic, COVID-19, so the government are really improving based from this current situation. So dapat, so that is why other Asian countries like China, Japan, or Thailand, Singapore, di ba? So they also help our countries to those mga medical equipment or mga facilities or mga ano ba yung mga safety protocols na kailangan, di ba, para ma-save ang ato ang people. Okay, next. So we have here the 17 SDGs. So number 1 is no poverty, dapat, di ba? So those are the first objective or the goal for this SDG. So dapat wala dyan person or country nga pobre jud kay siya, di na siya makaon or wala na siya kwarta nga pangkuan, di ba? Pang-buhi siyang pamilya siyang so dapat should end this poverty. So in our current situation, so as you can see, di ba, there are people, group of people who are sleeping on streets, so kung mga taong pulube, they do not have homes, they do not have food, so they're the one who are really experiencing this poverty. But the problem could be from the past, it is really common poverty because from past administration or from the government to there could be corruption happening, di ba? So kapag mga kwarta or sa kapanagbayan, so they corrupt it or nangawat sila para mag-asenso silang pamilya or silang sarili mismo. So wala ka ba na parito yung mas lower income na mga tao nga. So dapat nag-lisod, di ba? Sa kayo isang tuka lang kayo sila. At least, hindi sila makaon or once a day lang sila makaon na dapat pilitan sa day. So after this no poverty, so we have here number 2 goal is the zero hunger. So connected lang po siya sa no poverty from the word zero hunger. So dapat walay kagutuman, di ba? Or another term is famine, di ba? So because food is really important or vital siya sa tao. So dili ta mabuhi if wala tayo pagkaon na ginakaon. Number 3 would be the good health and well-being. So number 3 siya na go. So the good health. So as we are experiencing today, di ba, the COVID-19 is really a very important issue or problem when it comes to health. Labi na itong mga elderly, di ba, or mga elders na sila mas prone ani na disease. Because na sila yung tigulang kayo sila, nila na sila yung mga recent or kanang na sila sakit daan, di ba? Like for example, mga asthmatic na mga tao or mga na disease. So mas ma-triggered sila with this pandemic na experience. Then number 4, so the quality education. So every countries or every places should have a quality education. As you remember, if for example, our current or last Miss Universe 2018, di ba, Miss Catriona Gray. So sa iya she has an organization, the Young Focus Foundation. So sa Young Focus is nakatudlo sila og mga bata ang mga kabatan-unan, mga I think mga elementary or grade 6 below. So tuluan sila how to write or how to read because para sa iya, di ba, education is kuan jud siya. Isa siya mga tool or instrument na maka-asenso or maka-develop sa isa ka tao, di ba? Like for example, if sa katong mga organization, if mahatag lang silang dulaan sa mga bata, so mga guba raman po gihapon ang mga hulaan di ba dili man pud siya madala, or for example karon gihatag and then pagka next year or pagka next month or next day na ito nga magguba ra gyapon pud siya. Then also sa food. So if sa food pud siya di ba kana for example karon busog kaayo ka then pagka-unya or ugma wala na may pagkaon sa naghatag, so gutomon na pud ang mga young ones. So kaning quality education is really a great help jud pud siya sa mga kabatanunan, di ba? As what Dr. Sarizal, our national hero, said that the hope, the younger generation is the hope of our nation. So ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan, because of the next generation, mga kabatanunan naman po ang mag-lead sa atuang country. So siya importante jud po siya ang quality education. So if dapat po siya katabang the best na po yung nagadaon sa po ang kapagkatao, wala ka na siya, hindi na siya ka graduate, mini or na siya diretso or mabuntisan dyan na siya or mag-adik-adik, di ba? So with this quality education, so we can prove it to them na dili jud ta ana nga pagkatao. So after 4 years of college, so medyo tayong diploma nga, makita siya isang pa, mo siya ang pruweba na tarong jud mo pagkatao, di ba? So ana ang sa number 4 na goal. So number 5 is the gender equality. So this goal is also very important because from the past, so discrimination is very common. Like for example, naisa ka sa US, di ba, if they could found out that isa sa mga employee na part sa LGBT community is ay kasi nga, i-fire nila diretso or tanggalin na sa trabaho, ano dahil naday problema sa kanata siya na gender, dili siya mapektuhan sa ilahang skills or talent or sa ilahang intelligence, di ba, or sa ilahang mind. So dili hindi po siya makuan, di ba? Si ana jud po siya. So po siya nga goal na very important sa sustainable development. So if develop ang isang country pag na siya gender equality, so kani siya palanggaon na po ni si kani siya nga tao, like for example si Juan, kay how di siya mo paint or sayop, so maka-develop jud po ni siya sa mga estudyante, so maka-pursue po ni siya another skill sa ila, so ma-share niya, di ba? So ana, so dili po siya maka problema kana siya nga gender, so ang gender sa isa ka tao ra man po sila, di ba? So ana. Number 6 is the clean water and sanitation. So related po sa hunger, so para ma-eliminate ang mga diseases, so mga water contamination, ng mga amoeba. So dapat na clean water and a good sanitation sa pag-intake sa human being. The number 7 is the affordable and clean energy. So affordable and clean energy will also help developing countries, diba? So if afford na siya sa isa ka tao ang pagbayad sa kuryente, so dahil upside lang po ang or progressive lang po ang pamumuhay. The number 8 is the decent work and economic growth. So after you graduated your 4-year degree course, you already got your diploma, your transcript of records, you could apply now for a job. So decente at this by that, so makita ang decente job nga trabaho fit sa inyong course na sunod or depende sa inyong mga interests that could also help for our economy. Number 9 is the industry, innovation, and structure. So medyo itong mga industry, any type of industry, mga businesses, or agriculture, education, so yan ang mga industries. So it also have innovation, then the buildings or the infrastructure build. The number 11 is the reduced inequalities, diba? So dapat, nalita na po siya sa gender equality, so should eliminate this inequalities. So for example, those PWD or the person with disability or those called as differently abled. So for example, naaday siya igapoy talent. So dapat hindi na ito ilimit ng ilahang makakayahan. Na ganito recently nga na news na winner siya sa chess, kata na sports, and then cannot walk, diba? So, nagkipag-compete to siya dahil online nga chess tournament from abroad. So yung kalaban is nag-online na sa face-to-face is from another country. So kato is siya ang nadog and then nakakwarta pa siya, di ba? So yung anak ng mga scenario. The number 11 is sustainable cities and communities. So with these cities and communities, so sustain also for the development of every countries. Number 12 is a responsible consumption and production. So if we are really responsible on how to consume, for example, our food, di na to siya siyangan. Like for example, ay, naisobra diri ang eleksyon, kung ilabay yung uy, busog naman kayo po. So, dapat pili, anak, di ba? So, we could have it as our food bank. So, pwede natin siya i-ref, di ba? Pwede natin siya kaon pagkaugma. Pwede natin mag-gaso-gaso, palit na po another set ng karne or kanang pagkaon. Or pwede na ito siya ihatag sa mga pulube or kanang any other poorer or lower income na mga kailan nato or natin mga silingan, di ba? So, i-share na to sila nga to ang blessing na ata. And also the production. So, dili ta sige produce o ka ng mga goods or mga services na walay pulos na mga nabuhat na to. The next 13 is the climate action. So, we are experiencing about this climate change. So, it is really happening. So, if kagahapon init kaayo and then kagabi is live ng ulan. So, we humans should really have this awareness about our environment or our climate. The number 14 is the life below water. So, since ang Earth is a water system, and then mostly ang nag-occupy ito ang planet is bodies of water, di ba? So, 80% out of 100 is tubig jud. So we cannot observe it here because nasa sa land. We try to go forward or pass through sa barge sa samang, di ba? As in, dako jud kayo siya ang water. So life below water, so ito mga marine organisms na sa dagat. So we should take good care of them because it could also prevent those mga climate change. So isa po siya nga tool nga healthy po siya ang isa ka community or country. So kana mga, di ba, kabalita na yung mga whale shark or mga turtles na nangamatay because katong mga garbage nga nasa ilahang ibabaw sa tubig is kana abi nila pagkaon to nga nagalutaw-luto and then makaon nila apil. So may tendency nga mamatay sila because wala man na-dissolve ang or wala siya totally na-digest ang plastic na nasa ilang digestive system. Then also life on land, so those mga organisms po na mga nasa this terrestrial or this land, di ba? So mga trees. Di ba? So ang trees is dapat po din siya tabang sa pag-eradicate sa climate change or kanang for example may mga baha or natural disaster. Then 16 is the peace, justice, and a strong institution. So, pwede siya tuwong sa liberties. So, in order to have a developed or progressive na upside na country, so we should have a peace. So, wala na sige away or war as what was happening in US, di ba? They have this racism na issue na nato siya yung namatay na Black American si George Floyd, di ba? Ikuan lang siya sa police officer, then kaya siyang tug-atake, hindi siya kahinga, kay gipahaba siya sa di ba, sa salog, then kato siya, mga scenario. So, dagan ng mga tao nga na-apektuhan kay wala naman sa peace because ang current president po sa US is si Donald Trump is really a racist siya. Hindi siya masugot, di ba, sa mga Black American na mga tao. Okay, dapat mas kuanjud ang mga pution or mga whiter nga American. So, ito siya yung issue karon sa mga immigrants nga dapat American citizen lang jud dapat ang pwede nga maka-kuan sa ilaha dito ana. It also have this justice and strong institution. And then lastly, in order to have this all na mga goals, so we should have this partnership for the goals, di ba? So dili man dili siya makayanan na isa lang ka tao ang mag-push through. So, dapat makipag-partnership or makipag-collaborate or makipag-cooperate sa other na mga industries. For example, sa mga funding, sa mga researches. So, dili man siya ma-develop or ma-progress ang isa ka study or research pag wala siya funding na kwarta dito po, di ba, ang kailangan. Like, for example, sa COVID-19 karon or sa um, pandemic na experience. So, di na ko ma-surpass kami mga pandemic if we could not partner it to other na mga countries or other na mga industries because kailangan to siya partner, di ba? So, those are the 17 SDGs. So growth has been the main object of the development for the past 70 years. So despite the fact that it's not working, so an orthodox economist insists that we all need is yet more growth. So more progressive types tell us that we need to shift some of the yields of growth from the richer segments of the population to the poorer ones, evening things out of a bit. So neither approach is adequate. So why? There's a question here, why? So because even at the current levels of average global consumption, we are overshooting our planet's biocapacity by more than 50% each year. So yun po na siya ang nakasulat sa article ni Jason Heckel. So as I mentioned that so sa growth, so muli siya ang main object for the past 7 years. So, diba? As you can see here sa picture, where siya seed, di ba nga nag-sprout? So mas manindot siya ang niya if gani siya nga seed is parang dyan siya bisbisan or kanang i-take good care dyan po siya sa yung owner, which is or his human. So, ma-relate mo siya sa ito. Economy kita, tao is kapag how do you nga makipag-collaborate or partnership sa na mga businesses, so how do you siya hapsay or progressive do you siya result. But nowadays, so the average global consumption was mentioned also by Jason Heckel nga nag-overshooting na siya because our planet biocapacity by more than 50% years. Mula siya sa climate, di ba, nga nagkahinay-hinay na po dyan siya o wala. Because overpopulated na po na mga tao, like for example sa China, so they have 1 point something billion dito sa ilaha, same as sa US, di ba, so sila karon ang pinaka dako nga na yung mga COVID cases because overpopulated na sila ng mga tao. So if overpopulated po, to more consumption of food po na itong kailangan. Kita ba? Daga na kayo mga tao. So daga na po mga food or goods and services na mga kailangan. So kaso na po kaayo. So yung anak ng mga cases. So in other words, growth is not an option anymore. So we have already grown too much. So scientists are now telling us that we are blowing past planetary boundaries at a breakneck speed. And the hard truth is that the global crisis is due almost entirely to the overconsumption in the rich countries. So ito siya, na ang mga dato ng mga countries, so mas gina-overconsume na nila ang mga resources. So, isa yun siya nga global crisis na itong mga experience. So, dapat itong mga rich countries should also help those na sa average lang or sa mas developing countries or sa mas poor countries pa. You can see here from the picture, diba, our Earth are now experiencing this climate change and then overconsumption sa mga resources. So, kanini nagkawala. So, ano? So we'll also hear another economist that was mentioned by Jason Heckel sa iyang article or book. So what does this mean for our theory of development? So economist Peter Edward argues that instead of pushing poorer countries to catch up with the rich ones, we should be thinking of ways to get rich countries to catch down to more appropriate levels of development. We should look at societies where people live long and happy lives at relatively low levels of income and consumption, not as basket cases that need to be developed towards the Western models, but as an exemplars of the efficient living. So, ang kasabot ani ni Peter Edwards is that, so, kita na mga pobre na mga tao or poorer countries or tao na naga-live sa poor countries is to catch up with the rich ones. Dapat maningkamot chuputag maayo nga maka-level sa ilaha. So, muna siya magtarong chuputag eskwela kay para eskwela og tarong kay para lami kong future, di ba? Kay para gamiton ako siya sa ako ang future or sa ko ang pangarap sa kinabuhi. So, para so itong mga ones na gusto na ako, so makakwarta ko dako, so gusto na ko siya paliton. So, pwede na ako, din ako'y kailang or classmates na dato na ko siya dapat pa-level jud pud ako siya. So, mag-strive harder, jud dapat siya. But we should be thinking to get the rich countries also to catch down to a more appropriate level of a development. Dapat na po tendency nga upakash down ko na to. So, like, example, gusto na ko to siya nga level and then gusto din juga siya as in kabuton uy about ako siya mag-approach ko sa iya nga bakit ka naman pwede ko nang tabangan niya ka na anay gusto nga tao ba or nay organization nga magpatabang sila sa ilahang advocacy ang ilang kuhaton so pwede siya mag-donate ang sa mga group na iyang kwarta donate or fund diba. So yung anak ng mga scenario according to Peter Edwards. And also another example is ato ang na-experience diba about familiar mo sa Kapa, katong mga kato siya ng mga what do you call this one? Mga investment scam, diba? So yung anak. So nailala si ato na mga poor people would really invest kay para modako ang ilang kwarta, but there are some rich people na dili pud sila musugot na mo level pud jud ta sa ilaha kay kana mabasig malabuan sila so ana na mga thinking nila. So ano siyang mention po ni Kelly. So in light of this, perhaps we should be regard such countries not as underdeveloped, but rather as appropriately developed. And maybe we need to start calling on the rich countries to justify. So as you can see on this picture, diba? So, wow, so amazing. Extravagant na infrastructure. So this picture would be from sa Dubai siya na picture, di ba? So you can see sa Dubai is sa una is dili pa kisiling anak nga developed or progressive na countries, di ba? Isa sa ilang main resources is kaning oil, di ba? Or kanang langis. So ang mga other other countries is import sila from Dubai, then dulong sa ilang mga countries. Then dagan kay mga resources nga nagamit kay sila. So karon ang ilang gibuhat kay nagkagamay na lang man ang oils or langis nga naa sa ilaha. So why not try something new? So naka-create sila or nag-boost sila sa ilahang tourism na karon. So nasa mga buildings, di ba? Mga Hollywood artists nag-aadto na dala sa mga luxurious na mga buildings kay para lang mag-vacation or mag-chill so yung ana. So kato nga oils na wala na sila, so they are now investing na pud sa tourism na daghan pud mga tao from in other countries na pwede maadto sila nga mag travel lang, di ba? So yung ana na example. So the idea of the developing rich countries might be proved to be a strong rallying cry in the global south, but it will be tricky to sell to Westerners, so those Western people. Tricky, but now impossible. According to the recent consumer research, people sense there is something wrong with the dominant model of the economic progress, and they hungry for an alternative narrative. So dapat natin alternative na buhaton. So dili lang kayo mag-stick lang sa kanilang, di ba? Close-minded lang ngayon. Kanilang natuang, so to the point lang na ito ang goal. So why not we should open our minds or out of curiosity, so try something new. So kani siya kung gusto nga buhaton, kaya ba say, okay din siya, option B. So, why not option C na punta? Okay, pero dili ko siguro mag-work ang kaninga man, di ba? So, we should have an alternative or na narrative. So the problem is that the pundits, so promoting this kind of transition, are using the wrong language. So they use terms such as degrowth, the zero growth, or worst of all, the de-development, which are technically accurate but of putting for anyone who's not already on board. So such terms are repulsive because they run against the deepest frames we used to think about the human progress and indeed the purpose of life itself. It's like asking people to stop moving positively through life, to stop learning, stop improving, or stop growing. So, anak siya, di ba, ang sa development. So, it is very complicated. Di ba, kanang siya guna or like problem, but we should really think critically. So, dapat simon yun na to o tarong, kasi yun siya ang makapag-develop sa to or maka-progress kay parang mga puni siya sa atua. Yung anak na. Pero tag namang cases na mo, nagmadaw mo ta sa to ang self-good, diba? Kanang, ay, well, dili naman siguro kung tama o di na siguro kung maguna-una o ka ng taas pa kay pobre lang po. So why not try or move forward na dili po siya dili pa siya end of the world, di ba nga? Kung nabuhay ka nga pobre is mawala po ka nga pobre. So diba, we should strive harder more. Another example is that here, how much do we really need to live long and a happy life? So in the US, so their life expectancy is 79 years old, and their gross domestic product per capita is $53,000. But many countries have achieved similar life expectancy with a mere fraction of this income. So Cuba, so a country from America, Central America, has a comparable life expectancy, the US, and one of the highest literacy rates in the world with a GDP per capita of only $6,000 and a consumption of only 1.9 hectares, right at the threshold of the ecological sustainability. Similar claims can be made of the Peru, the Ecuador, the Honduras, the Nicaragua, and the Tunisia. So though kanisa ng mga countries, they are also developing countries, so at least nakasurvive gabon sila, kabot ka mo sila expectancy na 79 years old, na $6,000 lang ilahang kita, and then only 1.9 hectares lang ilahang makonsume sa mga, for example, lang food or goods and services, magtanong sila na ayuta. So gamay lang, di ba? Unlike sa US na $53,000 dako kayo ilahang kwarta. Also, we have here, perhaps we might take a cue from a Latin American, so kapag sila na akong mention, who are organizing alternative visions around the indigenous concept of bon vivre, or the good living. The bon vivre, bon vivre, or the good living. The West has its own tradition of the reflection of the good life, and it's time that we revive. So we have here Robert and Edward Skidowski take us down this road in his book, How Much Is Enough? Where they lay out the possibility of interventions such as the banning advertising, a shorter working week, and a basic income, all of which would improve our lives while reducing the consumption. So, sa masabataan, kapini siyang sa advertising, di ba? Mga shorter week and a basic income. So, common example, ano is na mga vlog, di ba? Sa mga vloggers, sa excellency, sa ilang vlog is na ay mga advertisement sa baba, di ba nga? Namo kaayo, mga sa tuong kami, mananaw ka, ano, lingaw na kag, tinanaw sa iya, kay kilig-kilig na ka, sa ilang couple or relationship na post, ng mga vlog, or mga comedy or for entertainment kanang katawanan kay nga vlog then balik ang pop up ang advertisement dira because kana siya is kwarta na siya sa vlogger napukay siya mga kwarta ana but there are some his pod na di ba ang advertisement is for the charge her lang siya murag samok lang po siya ang ito documentary about advertisement now why is it that people are really open or vocal sa kana siya ng product or selling their lives or sa lang self. So, ano pang pangbaligya if ikaw is isa ka product. So, why not be true to who you really are? Should accept sa lang produkta and then no need na nga ibaligya. So, we should really focus on ourselves more na strive harder, na kaya niyo na siya. So, anak na mga example. So, that is according to Robert and Edward Iskidowski sa ilang article or book na ilang sulat. So, either also was mentioned by according to Jason Hecker, either we slow down voluntarily or the climate change will do it for us. So, muli siya ang our Mother Earth or ang environment ang himuan sa tuwa. That's when experience na tao climate change. But rethinking our theory of the progress is not only an ecological imperative, it is also a development one. If we do not act soon, all our hard-won gains against this poverty will evaporate. So as food systems collapse and mass famine reimagine to an extent not seen since the 19th century. So this is not about giving anything up. And it's certainly not about living a life of voluntary misery or imposing harsh limits or a human potential. On the contrary, it's about reaching a higher level of understanding and consciousness about what we are doing here and why. So, di ba? Kana. So, kita mga tao, di lang tao-tao lang or kahoy-kahoy lang, tao. Kita each one of us, each individual has really a great impact in this modern world or in this on how to be progressive or how to be productive just in a day, di lang kasi scroll sa Facebook, so social media or newsfeed, makarelate with ana, if bored in the house, bored na mga activity, di ba? So why not try something, doon na gusto mo gusto mo purpose or pwede matabang sa to ang economy uy nga dapat ning ani can I suggest using this or can I have a research about this part para mas reliable siya nga tuuhan jud ko sa mga tao. So in ana, so we should really think critically or act more or be responsible on our act for our next future generation. Pila pa ka years ang labay? 100 years pa, di ba? So, ito siya akong mention kaganina about this because we only have one planet, Earth. So, loyal lang ta sa isa, manay forever sa Earth. Alike sa iya ha. Alike kay Mars, kay Jupiter, kay Venus, sa mga planet. Nadili ta niya kaya nga buhion. So, walang judicial. Should really collaborate, cooperate. Diba? We should be united as one. no matter what your race, your gender, your personality. So, isa lang yun tanan. Isa lang po nga mga tao. Okay, I think that's and will be our next slide. Another video. So I'll show here a video about as one. From Turkey. They produce organic crops polluting less while earning. So they created a system for the zero waste. Recycle, nila, tapos sa mga basura. In the Southeast Asia, Child Health Initiative promotes road safety sa mga bata to make the journey to school safe for their children. Kung diba sila ang pag-asa ng bayan. So everywhere in the world, people have found solutions that work. But there is only one place where they call together. So July, Political Forum Sustainable Development. 47 countries to report on the SDG or the Sustainable Development. They follow action, how to improve or to progress. So that was last year, diba, the United Nations Forum of the SDG or the Sustainable Development Goals. So from the video, diba, it was mentioned from Turkey na naga-olive farming sila. So nato yung group of researchers na inatabangan nila ang mga tao nga pwede nila i-consume or sa farming nga sa ilalim ito is panang ilang soil, di ba, mas healthy man. So why not try this product? And then we also have those mga zero waste management, di ba, itong mga basura, ginamutang dito ang ilang mga recycled materials nga pwede pa siya magamit pa, dili pa siya ma-cause o mga basura pa sa environment. Okay, that ends for this discussion. So for your assignment here, so article reading about, so you read more comprehensively about the article of Jason Heckel entitled Forget Developing Poor Countries, It's Time to develop the rich countries. So, nani siya sa Google or internet. So, i-search lang yun siya nga title and then the author, Jason Heckel. And then after reading answer the following question. So, essay, siya. Okay. Because sa essay, you can say, because sa essay, I can say that it's not prone for more facts lang or knowledgeable na mga information, mga terms or memorization, rather, di ba? Sa essay, mas makita po na po siya nga, nadyo po mo ipagsabot sa ito ang subject or you are really good or you can say it communicatively, a good communication skills because if kung quiz para sa itong sa multiple choice or mga identifications, so yun lang mato siya, di ba, memorize of them. Why not more on less essay and then para po siya ma-avoid ang cheating, di ba? Kaya di na po siya ma-avoid sa mga punong dyan po naman. Okay, number one question is, what is the main objective of the Sustainable Development Goals or the SDGs of the nation? 2. What is standardized unit that measures the resource use and waste? 3, what is the standard response to eradicating poverty? Number 4, what is the threshold of the earth for adequately sustaining life? Number 5, according to the majority of people in the middle and high-income countries, what puts the planet and the society at risk? You should answer this 5 questions. So do not copy paste because I will check your plagiarism test. So na website and nag-check if it ano siya nga, copy paste ka dyan po siya yung answer. So we should really try our best or help ourselves na mag-ask, mag-answer ano na mga question on our own or original. Be authentic, di ba? You should not copy the work of the others. You should be your own. Be original. Be you. Kaya isa lang man ka, di ba? You are unique. So, ano, be authentic. So, same gapon siya na yung gibuhat sa yung exam na you should send it to my Gmail and then with this question, so i-encoded gapon ko siya Arial, fonts na Arial and then size 12. Okay, kana siya muna siya ang UMG na format. So mas better dito siya sundan niyo siya ang format kay para at least kabalo na dyan mo sa format sa University of Mindanao. Okay. In the future, if mag-thesis na mo on the higher years, third year or fourth year, so di na po mo mag-based sa among format. So that would be all. So thank you. So thank you for listening. So have a great weekend and have a good day. See you this Monday. So we will have our next Zoom collaboration meeting. So you study the next discussion because I will give an oral quiz. So hindi po siya na individual na question. I will ask questions about sa kuang PowerPoint presentation. So that will be all. Thank you. Have a good day. Okay, and meeting.